Hello guys, it's Libby. Today, as promised, I'm going to be reviewing the manga series Death Note, or at least the first 5 volumes of it, because that is as far as I was able to get. Reading these books was a really unique experience, and I'm actually quite pleased with myself because I have a very good metaphor. Actually, I guess technically this is a simile. It's like reading this series is like doing a sprint. It's so intense, you're so wrapped up in it, plots moving a mile a minute, twist after twist after twist. You're getting up to your top speed, and then right when you're just running all out, right into a brick wall at the halfway point. And when you hit a brick wall running at top speed, I mean, naturally, the impact is gonna be painful, and it is immediately going to sink your time on this sprint. But even if you can, like, get yourself back together and, you didn't break any bones, you can't keep sprinting for the rest of the race. You're kinda stumbling along, being like, is this a sprained ankle or is this not? Or should I even be doing this? Maybe I should just go to the ambulance right now. I have truly never had my experience of a book, series, even like movie or TV show, plummet so far, so fast. So let's talk about what's going on here. As I mentioned, this series has like a lot of twists, extremely easy to spoil events that happen like beyond chapter 2. So I'm gonna be speaking fairly vaguely, but my rule for spoilers is it's not a spoiler if it's stupid. So I'm not denying you the pleasure of discovering a plot twist if you were not going to have any pleasure in that plot twist anyway. So there are some things I'm going to say that I think could, I'm going to mention characters who appear later than the first volume and discuss to some degree their involvement with the story. But I will keep it to an absolute minimum, just in case anyone does want to go read this after my review. So Death Note is a manga series. It's by Tsugumi Ohba with art by Takeshi Obata. And it's set in 21st century Japan, largely in Tokyo. And our main character is a high schooler who eventually we see him in college, named Light Yagami. He is extremely intelligent, top of his class, like possibly top test scores in the country of Japan. And he encounters a death note, which is where the fantasy element of the story comes in. So I believe this is an actual element of Japanese folklore, and also in this series we have the Shinigami, who you can see some of on the spines, who are the gods of death. And the way Shinigami work in this universe is, so in some cases people do die of natural causes, but in some cases people's deaths are caused by a Shinigami. They all have death notes, which are notebooks where you can write down someone's name and if you wish the cause of their death. If you don't write down the cause of their death, they die of a heart attack in like 6 minutes and 40 seconds. There are a lot of rules to the death note to do with like not quite who you're allowed to kill. I think maybe you're not allowed to kill children, but how they die, what mechanisms would prevent them from dying, how you can describe their death, how much time you have to do each step. And then also who can see the death note, who is aware of the death note, and who is aware of the Shinigami associated with the death note, and also how death notes get sort of passed on between humans, or between Shinigami, or between Shinigami and humans. So there's, at the end of each chapter, and there's about 12 chapters per book, they give you some more rules of how death notes work. So Light, our brilliant high schooler, finds one of these, discovers its power, can see the Shinigami associated with it, and decides he is going to use this to make the world a better place by killing criminals. Either criminals who, have been convicted and were serving life sentences or on death row, but who escape, by killing people who were clearly guilty of horrifying crimes, but just happened, on a technicality to get out of the legal system, these sorts of things. Of course, eventually Japan and the rest of the world figures out what's going on here and becomes quite a crisis. And also, Light doesn't want anyone to know about this, so in order to keep his killing of actual criminals a secret, he has to start treading into the gray area of perhaps killing the people who would try to stop him. And to me, the first 3 volumes, which are titled Boredom, Confluence, and Hard Run, are absolutely fantastic. They are really intense. You never know what brilliant twist Light or the people who are trying to catch him come up with next. My main complaint would be that occasionally they are so brilliant that it strains credulity, but I was willing to just sort of go along with it, having a good time with some super geniuses playing cat and mouse with each other and each other's lives. Okay, that was the sprint. That was the getting up to full speed. No, that's volume 5. Then volume 4. Volume 4 is called Love. And there's the character that killed the series for me. So in volume 4, we get introduced to the character Misa Amane. And where to even begin? So with what is actually happening in the book, Misa Amane, being as vague as possible, has some similar abilities to what Light has with his Death Notes, but also has some that he doesn't have. And she becomes absolutely obsessed with whoever this mysterious person is who is causing all of these murders of violent criminals, because one of the people, the Kira is what the international community is calling the person who is committing these murders seemingly without touching people or, ever touching them. She falls completely in love with Kira because Kira kills a criminal who had done something bad to her and her family. So she starts out as quite a nebulous figure, but once Misa meets Light and discovers that he is Kira, we get truly some of the worst dialogue writing and characterization that I have ever encountered. And I did kind of consider going back through volume 4 to find some examples, but truly, it is too painful. I do not want to read a single word of it ever again. So basically, Misa is completely dumb and completely boy crazy, and is really just slotting into all of these stereotypes of not only women, but specifically Japanese women. If this series had not been written by a Japanese person, I would have been on here saying, this is so racist, you cannot write a Japanese woman like this. You can't, oh my God. I'm not exactly sure what to do given that this is written by a Japanese person, but it's still painfully misogynistic. Truly some of the worst stuff I've ever read, and I read stuff from the 19th, 16th, negative 5th century. And an example which I will soften because I literally cannot go through the agony of perfectly narrating it for you. But she wants to go on a date with Light. She wants him to be her boyfriend. And he says, well, both of us are under suspicion of being involved with this Kira thing. If we start suddenly hanging out together, even though we've never met before, that's going to be extremely suspicious, and we are both going to go to jail and possibly die. So I will go on dates with you, but I'm also going to have to start dating a bunch of other people so that it's not obvious that I'm specifically hanging out with you. And Misa's like, no, only go on dates with me. And you know, at the beginning, because there's so much like, ooh, deception, Game of Shadows going on in this series, I was like, oh, this is like a joke. She's like putting on a front the same way that Light has put on a front, being something other than he is. When's the reveal gonna happen? Okay, I'm ready. Anytime. Do that reveal. Give it to, okay. There's no reveal, is there? And it's not just the writing and characterization, it's also the art. There are a couple scenes where Misa is, for no reason, not wearing pants. So Misa is the main focus of Volume 4. She's sort of she's the center of the plot of Volume 4. I got through it hoping it would be over or would be revealed to be a twist. Went into Volume 5. Misa is less of a focus in Volume 5, but she is still present, and truly every line of her dialogue makes me want to cry. And like I said with my sprinting into a brick wall analogy, like even if Misa was killed, and I think that there's a decent possibility that she'll be killed in the next volume or two, having hit that brick wall so hard, I think even if that brick wall was fully dismantled and I knew I would never have to worry about it again, I've still got like 3 broken toes, incredibly bruised shins, knees, and elbows. I maybe have a concussion. And I'm not gonna force myself to finish the sprint of Death Note under those conditions. So I'm so disappointed because I really enjoyed the first 3 volumes. And honestly, if any of you guys have read Death Note and you're like, don't worry, Misa, I'm okay if you spoil it for me, honestly. Don't worry, Misa's gonna go away in the next volume or 2 and you never have to worry about her again. And also, there isn't really any more misogyny. And the ending is like such a brilliant payoff. I might, like, if that last volume is the most perfect book I've ever read, maybe I'll continue. But it's gonna take a lot of convincing. Okay, I think that's all I got. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope I have dissuaded you from reading Death Note. It makes me so, man, can someone rewrite this? Is there good post-Volume 3 fan fiction? I would love to see what somebody else does with this story. You know, taking Volume 3 and running with it. Yeah, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you later.